The snowy roads can be treacherous enough for your car or mine, but it can be even more dangerous for emergency vehicles. I'm Chris Warner with what special steps first responders take to make sure they stay safe on the road.
With many area roads still snow-covered, going for a drive isn't the best option, but many may still need to get groceries or pick up a prescription. I'm Bronte Sorotsky with the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office program aimed to help out.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Abbey. A 70-year-old woman is dead after a train hit a car in Asbury, Missouri. Missouri State Highway Patrol says a car got stuck in a snowdrift over those tracks. The victim stayed in the car while others pushed, but when she saw the oncoming train, she tried to escape. She didn't get away in time and was hit by the car after it was hit by the train. Authorities are not releasing the victim's name at this time. Well, some roads are still slick from the snow and drivers are being urged to be careful. For those who don't feel comfortable driving at all, the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office has you covered. KOM's Bronte Sorotsky explains how residents can get items like groceries or prescriptions delivered for free.
Road conditions still aren't great, and while area law enforcement agencies remind folks to stay off the roads unless absolutely necessary, they also know that's not the case for some. So the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office is reminding everyone of a program they have to keep residents safe.
The Cherokee County Cares program actually started in March of 2020 when the COVID-19 pandemic first started hitting the area. And it was initially designed to help people who weren't able to get out and get their prescriptions or groceries, things like that. And so we were able to partner with a lot of area pharmacies and grocery stores to help meet the needs of those folks who couldn't get out or didn't feel safe to get out to get those necessity items.
What started in 2020 has continued and is still in full effect, especially with recent road conditions.
And with the winter storm warning that we had and the treacherous road conditions, we wanted to remind people that this offer still stands. We're out patrolling and in the communities anyway, and so if somebody needs something, a prescription, groceries, things like that, they can give us a call and we'll do what we can to work with them to make sure they get what they need.
Sheriff Groves says so far they've only had a few calls.
We have had some. We've been able to take some propane to people that heat using that source, some prescriptions and some groceries here or there. So it hasn't been overwhelming at all.
But says that's okay.
We just, more than anything, we want the citizens of Cherokee County to know that should they need something, don't hesitate to call. Just because it's not law enforcement related, we're here to serve the community and whatever that looks like. And right now with the road conditions like they are, that might look like going and getting them necessary items.
In Columbus, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Sheriff Groves also says during times of severe weather, he encourages residents to check on elderly neighbors or anyone else who may need an extra hand. Doug Hady's joining us now. Got some breathing time after that winter storm, huh?
Yeah, that was kind of a crazy week. At least we got the sunshine back today, and after most of us through the metro, about 8 inches total with our 3 rounds that rolled through. At least we got to melt some today. The sun, even though we didn't hit freezing, the sun just melts a tremendous amount of snow, especially when you get late in winter because that sun angle gets a little bit higher in the sky. So we did get to melt off a couple inches today. We have clear skies. I do think with that moisture on the ground, we're going to get some patchy fog out there tonight. Temps not bad. We're sitting near 20, but we'll drop back near 10 a little bit later on tonight. Of course, we'll look into the weekend here in just a bit.
Doug, thank you. Snow has stopped falling. In its wake, though, it's left a number of roads covered and dangerous to travel on. As KOM's Chris Warner explains, that danger is amplified for first responders.
It's difficult to appreciate the size of an ambulance unless you're right next to one. Even this video doesn't do it justice. It's that size, shape, and weight that Jason Smith says makes them tough to drive in the snow.
The ambulances are very top heavy, so not only with the road conditions being a factor when we get the high wind with it like we had a night or two ago, can also make it challenging.
When it snows, changes are made to how they respond to emergency calls, like their speed, among other things.
A lot of time the other motorists, when they see the lights and sirens, they feel like they're forced to, veer off one side or the other. And so we want to be able to get to the call in a timely manner, but we also have to be safe doing it and make sure that we account for the safety of the other motorists that are on the road.
Smith says they also use four-wheel drive vehicles and have a great partnership with fire crews.
All the local fire departments are extremely supportive and helpful as far as even when it comes to just maneuvering the cot through the snow. sometimes is a challenge. So all of these guys are great to get out and, help us do that.
Now, to those fire crews. Fire trucks, like ambulances, are big, heavy, and tough to drive in the snow, even with four-wheel drive. So Leif Hasty says they've made changes too.
It takes a lot longer to stop the bigger apparatus for sure. The smaller apparatus are just as dangerous though. So we actually take it to where you see people running lights and sirens often. We don't. Whenever this stuff's on the ground, we tend to take the lights and sirens out of the equation.
They also slow down, which impacts response times. Another factor impacting those times, having to change routes in rural areas.
So we have to keep in mind that our response may change as far as the direction and the destination. So we usually have set response pathways that we take. And right now, with the way the roads are, you have to change that up.
In Joplin and Reddings Mill, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Hasty also says they're grateful to road crews who have been out clearing the roads ever since this all started, trying to make first responders' job in particular easier. Several people need help shoveling all that snow at home. So these guys, students with College Heights Christian School in Joplin, are helping out. The school put together snow removal teams, 6 crews, each with about 3 people or more, who are going around shoveling for folks who don't have the means to do it themselves. A volunteer we spoke with said they're inspired by their faith to help out their neighbor.
I heard this and wanted to hop at it. It's been a long 2 years with the pandemic and everything and things being shut down, and it feels good to get out and do something for my community and help out.
College Heights is going to be added again tomorrow. You can make a request directly through their Instagram page. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly has vetoed a Republican redistricting plan that would have made it harder for the lone Kansas Democrat in Congress to win re-election this year. GOP lawmakers promised to try to override the veto Kelly issued. However, if they do, the new lines are likely to face court challenges. The measure would split the Kansas City area into 2 congressional districts and cost Democratic Representative Sharice Davids some of the territory in her 3rd district where she performs best. The map also would move the liberal Northeast Kansas community of Lawrence into the 1st district of central and western Kansas. U.S. is ramping up its engagement with regional allies today, signing new defense agreements as Russia starts day 2 of a massive series of military drills just to the north of Ukraine. Fox News correspondent Mark Meredith has more from Washington.
Across Eastern Europe, tensions remain high as thousands of Russian troops continue military exercises near Ukraine. Russia's President Vladimir Putin is in China, pledging a closer relationship, especially on foreign policy matters. Meanwhile, in Washington, Secretary of State Antony Blinken is meeting with his counterparts from Poland and Slovakia, signing new defense agreements aimed at reassuring anxious allies in Eastern Europe.
We strongly prefer that Russia choose the path of diplomacy and dialogue. But if it does not, we are fully prepared for the alternative.
Back in Europe, NATO allies in the Baltics are gathering in a show of solidarity against a growing Russian threat. NATO promising a unified response that could include military action if Russian troops cross the border.
Russian troop deployment in Belarus for so-called exercises is a great concern to us. We must send a message that the price for further aggression would be very high.
While U.S. officials are hoping for a diplomatic solution, U.S. military remains on alert. 3,000 U.S. troops are now redeploying to Germany, Romania, and Poland. While in Ukraine, the U.S. and its allies continue to offer both military equipment and logistical support, as well as advice on how to fight a potential war.
So the main task is to train the civilians in Kyiv, and once we get enough Americans, we can form a unit and go to the front. But communication is key.
On Capitol Hill, lawmakers say they remain concerned Russia will ultimately invade. So Congress is also discussing new ways to punish Russia's economy if war breaks out. In Washington, Mark Meredith, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another 4-state hero, George Davenport, serving the U.S. Army from 1946 to 47. Native of Fardington, Kansas, Davenport won several awards. We are proud to thank and salute George Davenport, tonight's 4-state hero. Doug Heddy's next with a complete look at the forecast, and later it's semifinal night at the Mercy Warrior Classic in Joplin. Highlights in sports.
Why is it was
Well, of course, we got the freezing rain, the sleet, the snow. Over the past few days, about a 3-day event, we had 3 different rounds of wintry weather. Early Wednesday morning, early Thursday morning, and then again early this morning. We had snow picking up last night through the overnight hours, and it dropped an inch of snow after midnight. Very fluffy snow. And this puts us at 12.5 inches for the season. Average is 12, so we've actually passed our average snowfall that we get in a season. We did 3/4 of that in one storm system. Last year we had 19.5 inches of snow, but here are the totals, and again, this includes the sleet and then the 2 rounds of snow. Everybody in Missouri at least hit 7 inches. Officially in Joplin, about 7 to 8. At my house, we hit 8. Miami, also right around 7 inches, and then once you got down in northwestern Arkansas, closer to 9 or 10 inches. Springfield had over 10 inches. 5 to 7 inches, most of southeastern Kansas. The counties that came up a little shy would have been Wilson, Woodson, and Allen County on the Kansas side. Most of you guys hit about 3 to 5 inches of snow. We melted a couple off today. We're going to melt off, gosh, 3, 4, 5 inches tomorrow as we get above freezing. All right, cold night last night. We dropped down to officially 6 degrees. We warmed into the upper 20s, but it felt so nice seeing the sun out there. And then now we are dropping back down. We're sitting 20 to about 22 degrees. Most of us will drop back upper single digits again tonight, very similar to what we did see during the morning hours for us today. Westerly winds, they're not super strong, but when you get cold, you get a little bit of a wind chill, so wind chill factors now the way it actually feels mainly into the mid-teens, and of course those will continue to drop as we go through the overnight hours tonight. All right, clear skies, nothing going on here. This storm system is gone, so if we go out west, weak little wave, northern parts of the Rockies, that's not really going to affect us. There's no big storm system, so we get a nice little calm stretch of pretty good weather as we go into the weekend and then also into next week. I do think we're going to see some patchy fog tonight because we did some melting today. There's that moisture right at the surface, so we're going to get some patchy fog, burns off, we warm up. I know this is below our average high, but upper 30s with sun sounds pretty good. 32 by noon, high temp at 38. Tomorrow night, not as cold. We back down to about 18 to 20 degrees, and then Sunday, we warm back up into the upper 30s to near 40 degrees once again. Then we start to warm up a little bit more. We pop into the 40s by the time we head into Monday, and then we go into the 50s by the time Tuesday and Wednesday roll around. No big storm systems over the next week, so that is good news. And all this snow will be by Monday long gone. Nobody will even care anymore. 38 tomorrow, 39 on Sunday, 46 by Monday into the 50s Tuesday and Wednesday.
Looks like a great weekend. Like you said, chilly, but you know, at least it's going to melt the snow.
Yeah, and the roads are getting better so you can get out and do stuff.
Yeah, we'll see you in a little bit. Thanks so much, Doug. A winter storm that hit a large portion of the country this week is finally making its way out to sea, but not before it causes a mess across the Northeast. Katie Byrne has more now from Vermont.
The storm is throwing everything at us.
The Northeast getting hit by a winter storm Friday that slammed portions of the Midwest and South throughout the week, leaving hundreds of thousands without power and digging out from the snowfall. Some who lost power having to leave their homes because it was too cold.
It's so cold in our house that the bottled water it felt like it was freezing almost. It's just, our fireplace couldn't deal with it anymore, so we just had to find an alternate way.
Heavy ice bringing down power lines with outages spreading Friday to several states, including Tennessee, Pennsylvania, and New York. Rain hitting many areas in the Northeast first, making it nearly impossible for crews to take preventative measures against dangerous ice conditions.
Yes, we have a magnificent crew of individuals who know how to salt the roads in advance to stop the ice from forming, but when the first weather event is rain, it washes the salt off the roads, and that creates a challenge.
Meanwhile, the storm continues to cause a headache for travelers, with Friday marking the 3rd day in a row of mass flight cancellations. By noon, more than 3,000 flights leaving, entering, or traveling between the U.S. had been canceled.
We were at Dallas-Fort Worth, actually, and there was a line of about 300 people, and this was the only way we could get out tomorrow, so we actually got an Uber over here and spent the night. So it's been an adventure.
Here in Vermont and some areas of New York, more than a foot of snow has already fallen. In Burlington, Vermont, Katie Byrne, Fox Weather.
Coming up, China.
Members of Team USA are battling it out with their rivals at the Beijing Olympics today, while here at home, Congress is doing the same. I'm Caroline Shively in Washington. I'll explain coming up.
Opening ceremony of the Winter Olympics kicked off this morning in Beijing, with China hosting the games. There's been controversy surrounding human rights abuses. Organizers of the opening ceremony hoped to ignore the politics and broadcast to the world their vision and theme for the games, Together for a Shared Future. The games themselves have already been underway for a couple of days now. Sports world is focused on China today as the Winter Olympics kick off in Beijing, but China also the center of attention on Capitol Hill. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively reports from D.C.
As American and Chinese athletes square off at the Beijing Olympics, Congress is debating how to help the U.S. beat China economically.
The bill is passed.
House Democrats pushed through legislation on Friday that puts $45 billion towards strengthening supply chains and $52 billion to help the manufacturing of semiconductors in the U.S.
The COVID-19 pandemic has taught us many hard lessons, including that we are far too dependent on other countries like China for critical goods and our national security.
A shortage of computer chips, most of them foreign-made, has led to higher prices for electronics, cars, and medical devices.
Just 30-some years ago, we were producing upwards of 40% of the world's chips, and today it's hovering almost at 10%.
Republicans say the bill doesn't go far enough to hold China accountable for its questionable economic policies and human rights abuses.
This is a dictatorship, and they want to extend their model throughout the world.
The Senate passed its own economic bill on China 8 months ago. Now the two bodies will have to forge a compromise bill.
We'll send House Republicans a much better option to vote on in the next couple of months.
The House bill would also put tariffs on more Chinese goods, eliminating an exemption for products worth under $800. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Still ahead, a better than expected jobs report.
President Biden touts the January jobs report, which shows higher than expected gains. I'm Mather Rivera in Washington with his reaction and why the White House says more work needs to be done. Coming up.
The skyrocketing price of food is not only straining budgets, it's threatening to stoke social unrest. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization says last month the price of groceries climbed to its highest level in 11 years. Maurice Obstfeld, a senior fellow at the Peterson Institute for International Economics, says price hikes are taking an especially heavy toll on incomes in poorer countries, especially in some parts of Latin America, Africa, where people may spend up to 60% of their income on food. He says it's not, quote, much of an exaggeration to say the world is now approaching a global food crisis. President Biden is touting the latest jobs report showing that the U.S. added 467,000 jobs in January. The number beating economists' expectations, which were lower after the Omicron variant sidelined many workers. Fox's Banner Rivera is in D.C. with more on the president's reaction.
President Biden taking a victory lap Friday. The latest jobs report showing nearly 500,000 jobs were added in January.
With the support of the American private sector, our business leaders and entrepreneurs, our workers, our union leaders, they've all come together like never before.
The president also celebrating revisions of the November and December jobs reports. Initially thought to be disappointments, the changes show the number of positions added was actually 700,000 higher than initially reported.
As we look back to the revisions made as a part of the report this morning, the largest year of job creation ever in American history. Those are certainly things we are proud of.
The White House crediting its massive vaccination effort and COVID-19 relief spending for getting the economy going again. But many economists say the stimulus also stoked consumer demand when supply chains were hampered by the pandemic. Wages are up by 5.7%, not enough to keep up with the pace of inflation, which is now at a 40-year high.
We're really focused on what we can do concretely to try to address those price increases.
And the unemployment rate rose slightly from 3.9% in December to 4%. Experts saying more work needs to be done.
The net on the employment number is still about 2.9 million workers short of the level of employment we were experiencing before the whole COVID-19 lockdown in 2020.
The president also says his administration will do more to strengthen the supply chain and promote competition among corporations, blaming the two for surging prices. In Washington, Mallory Rivera, Fox News.
Next, going to check out the all-natural way this beer, take a look at that, is blue.
Dominant.
All right, so a French brewer has found a way to keep your spirits from getting blue by making a unique beer that's actually blue. Look at that. The beer, called Line, is the union of a craft brewery and a firm wanting to popularize algae as a potential dietary supplement. The blue-tinted beer comes from spirulina, an algae grown in basins that yields a component added to beer during its brewing process. One employee making it described the blue beer as hoppy, light, and with fruity notes. The company says the response is encouraging, with a growing demand to brew up some more. For the upcoming big game, the Super Bowl, what's on the menu around the country for the big party? Instacart tells us our snack attack preferences. Instacart, of course, the delivery and pickup service, has released its second annual snack time report using survey data to tell us the game time craves we'll rave about. Chips are champs, with tortilla scoops chips ranking high. Maryland, Mississippi, Connecticut, Georgia, and New Jersey is going to gorge on wings. Dips are hip. Guacamole is wholly big. And Modelo, Especial, Coors Light, and Blue Moon go big on bottoms up with the beer, the suds. I like the pizza rolls. I don't know why, but ever since I was a little kid, man, big game, Super Bowl, you got to have pizza rolls. 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming away. How wearing a certain color today raised awareness for the #1 killer of women here in the U.S. It's a health condition. Plus, another look at Afghanistan, about what newly revealed documents show about the Biden administration's exit strategy.
Low prices, easy.
This is National Go Red for Women Day. It's an annual event to raise awareness of the #1 killer of women here in the U.S., heart disease. It's generally recognized by wearing red, which is what employees at Freeman Health System did today. Officials say it was a chance to spotlight the physicians and staff who save women's lives every day.
Now, women can experience different symptoms, so it can be very confusing at times. So helping bring that awareness of what to look for and to get regular cardiac checkups, it's very, very important.
February is also American Heart Month. Amazon is increasing its Prime membership prices for the first time in 3 years. The company announced the hike for its Prime members in the U.S. due to rising costs. Monthly memberships going to go from $12.99 to $14.99, while annual subscriptions will increase $20. Changes will be effective for new members on February 18th, while existing members will see the increase on the date of their next renewal after March 25th. Newly leaked documents show the chaos within the Biden administration during the final hours before the Taliban seized control of Afghanistan's capital. The president's defense chief and top diplomat were questioned about the U.S. exit by 2 Senate committees yesterday. Fox News national security correspondent Jennifer Griffin reports from the Pentagon.
Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and Secretary of State Antony Blinken were grilled during closed-door Capitol Hill briefings on the Afghanistan withdrawal, the humanitarian disaster that's followed, and a resurgent ISIS and al-Qaeda. Leaked notes from a national security deputies meeting on August 14th, one day before Kabul fell, indicate the Biden administration had not yet finalized where to evacuate thousands of Americans and allied Afghans, something the Pentagon had complained privately for months was held up by State Department bureaucracy. The notes obtained by Axios read, quote, "State will work to identify as many countries as possible to serve as transit points. Transit points need to be able to accommodate U.S. citizens, Afghan nationals, third country nationals, and other evacuees."
Is that true that at that late stage preparations had not been made as to where to evacuate Americans and others?
In the spring, the Defense Department was already trying to, gaming out what a non-combatant evacuation would look like. And the Secretary pre-positioned forces well before August. Within 48 hours, we were able to get some 3,000 troops on the ground at the Kabul airport.
In Afghanistan, in the past week, scenes of near famine and a collapsed economy following the U.S. withdrawal have led to the following warning from aid groups.
23 million people don't know where their next meal is coming from. We're calling this a race against time.
A message amplified in a recent Fox interview with the World Food Programme's director in Kabul.
They said the torment of hunger that they were living through today is worse than any of the war that they have lived through. The humanitarian imperative needs to be separated from the political discussions.
The World Food Programme says aid can be channeled through humanitarian organizations to bypass the Taliban, a moral imperative right now, it says, that's needed to stop this mass starvation. At the Pentagon, Jennifer Griffin, Fox News.
A bit later, going long distance to fill job opportunities.
Ongoing nursing shortages are pushing hospitals to the brink. I'm Kevin Cork with a look at how foreign workers are being used to fill the gaps. That's coming right up.
Well, we got some melting done outside for us today. The sunshine didn't make it to freezing, but of course the sun will still melt some snow away as it warms the ground. And oh gosh, we probably melted 2 inches off for us today, which is pretty good. We added another inch though early this morning. We had a band of snow last night from really about 10 p.m. until about 3 o'clock this morning. So an additional inch for the season, 12.5. Average is 12 last year. The entire season we got 19.5, so we're still well shy of what we had last winter. Everybody on the Missouri side, 7 to 10 inches, some isolated heavier amounts, especially to our east. Down through Oklahoma and Arkansas, 5 to 7, Kansas, 3 to 5 as you get into our western counties. Cold too. It's been very cold outside. Temperature started into the upper single digits. Earlier this morning, we warmed into the upper 20s, which is pretty good, especially compared to yesterday. We only topped out at 16. And then now we're sitting upper teens to near 20 degrees. We'll drop back to about 8 or 10 once again later on tonight. Actually, probably not quite as cold as what we had last night. Westerly winds, they're going to be light at about 5 miles per hour, but it still gives us a little bit of a wind chill. It makes it feel a little bit colder than what it actually is. It makes it feel like it's mid-teens across this region. Pretty much clear skies, so we don't have to worry about any ice or snow falling from the skies as this storm system is racing off toward the east. Weak little wave moving into northern parts of Montana, but besides that, there's nothing going on out west. So we're going to hit a nice little stretch of pretty calm weather as we go through the next few days. We deserve that after everything we've seen over the past 3 or 4 days. Patchy fog builds in tonight, so watch out for that. Still some icy roads out there, and then the fog will burn off. We warm up, upper 30s for highs, which is a lot better than what we have been seeing. 10 to start, 32 by noon, high temp at 38, south winds at about 5 to 15. Tomorrow night, some patchy fog in once again. We'll back down 18 to about 20 for an overnight low. And then on Sunday, we warm up back into the upper 30s to near 40 degrees. So at least we're warming up as we go into the weekend. All right, Monday we pop into the 40s. Tuesday, Wednesday, we go into the 50s. We do have a weak little system that passes by on Wednesday, may give us some clouds, maybe a random shower. But besides that, we look pretty good as we go through about the next week or so. All right, cold tonight, 8 to about 10. 38 for us tomorrow, plenty of sunshine. Watch out for the fog the next couple nights. 39 on Sunday, 46 Monday, 54 Tuesday, 52 on Wednesday. But all next week, temperatures pretty good for this time of the year.
In the 50s. I agree. Doug, thank you.
Yep.
Coming up in sports, Lamar and McCauley squaring off for a spot in the Mercy Warrior Classic Championship game. Plus, the Missouri Southern women aiming for their 8th straight win in a rematch with Central Missouri. Going to hear from the Lions on Saturday's game after the break.
Come hungry to the
Tonight is semifinal night at the Mercy Warrior Classic at McCauley Catholic High School. On the girls' side, the tournament host Warriors are in the Final Four after beating Blue Jacket in the first round earlier this week. McCauley facing another local team in the Lamar Tigers. The winner of this one faces Providence in the championship game. Tigers come out fast off the steal. Josie Adams to Xavier Wiss for 2. She finishes with 11. Then Adams knocks one down from long range. 20-8 Tigers after 1. They're up double digits at halftime. Now, Chloe Williamson, really good game tonight. Straight to the basket. She scores a game-high 17. Now, Macaulay really played well outside of that first quarter. Kennedy Dury to Avery Emminger. Emminger adds 10, but Lamar's early lead, too tough to overcome. Adams, another 3 here. She leads the Tigers with 12 points. Lamar rolls by Macaulay 55-40 to advance to the tournament championship.
You know, our game plan was to come out and use our speed that we had. We knew we were a little bit faster, quicker than them, so we executed the game plan really well from the first quarter to the very last quarter. We knew we had to contain their good guard number 15, and I thought we did a really good job on her. You know, my big girl came in and got in some foul trouble that first quarter, and I thought we had our bench play came in and played really good for us tonight. So it was overall just a great team effort from everyone.
On the boys' side, Thomas Jefferson and College Heights meeting in the semifinals earlier today for a spot in the championship. First quarter, Ethan Meeks to the basket for 2. Slow start, Cougars trail by 1 at halftime. Thomas Jefferson now, Drew Goodhope knocks down the uncontested 3. Cavaliers up 7, but the Cougars were able to get back in at final minute of the third. Ethan Adele sinks it from the corner, back to a 1-score game. College Heights, though, dominates the fourth. Miller Long gets his own rebound, puts it back in for 2. Then back to Meeks and off the glass. He scores 16 for College Heights. But the points leader for the Cougars tonight with 17 points, this guy right here, Curtis Davenport, straight to the rim. College Heights comes back to win it 64-53. The Cougars face Providence in the championship game on Saturday.
You come into the tournament, you always want to make it a championship game, and you know, for a while there looked like we weren't going to get there, but we seemed to find a way. We played Providence first game of the season back in November, and they beat us on their place, so we was, you know, looking for a matchup back with them. It'll be a very good game for us tomorrow night. They're a very good team, and so hopefully this game, you know, woke us up a little bit and say, hey, you got to play well all the time.
The Missouri Southern Lions are on the road this weekend, facing Central Missouri in a conference doubleheader tomorrow. On the women's side, the Lions are aiming to stay hot heading into the weekend on a 7-game winning streak. Now, this will be the second time these two teams have played. Back in December, the Jennies beat the Lions in Joplin 68-64, outscoring Southern 17-6 in the final 5 minutes. It was a learning experience for a young Southern team. They're hoping to take those lessons and flip the script tomorrow in Warrensburg.
There were some missed opportunities that we had. We did some things that we've grown and gotten better at. I think offensively, we're a much better team than we were back in December. And I know defensively, we're a much better team. Ready to take that next step, as we've been doing all year. That's what we talked about, is taking the next step. And Central Missouri is our next step, so we're excited about that opportunity.
And that's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
American hospitals are on life support as they feverishly work to combat a crippling nursing shortage escalated by the pandemic. Fox News correspondent Kevin Cork has more on the unique and controversial strategy offering some relief.
Nursing shortages exacerbated by the pandemic continue plaguing hospitals, forcing medical facilities nationwide to seek healthcare workers from foreign countries to help fill the steep employment gaps. But why are U.S. hospitals reaching out to international countries for help? Well, for starters, health officials say there simply aren't enough nurses graduating from U.S. programs each year to rely on. And the country may need as much qualified help as it can get. In fact, according to data collected by the University of St. Augustine for Health Sciences, the U.S. will need roughly 1.2 million new nurses by 2030 to account for these ongoing shortages. Added to that, there are a number of states that are already experiencing severe staffing issues, including California, Texas, and New Jersey. But this strategy is still facing some scrutiny.
It's a bit similar to what we've seen with PPE and with vaccines as well, where rich countries have used their economic might to buy and to hoard. And if they do that with the nursing workforce, it will just make the inequity even worse. The shortage is worse for many of those countries who are losing their nurses.
According to the International Council of Nurses, the U.S. isn't alone in these practices. Canada, the UK, and Germany are also looking overseas to make up for shortages in their nursing ranks. I'm Kevin Cork, Fox News.
All right, coming up, going to preview some of those upcoming Super Bowl ads. Super Bowl 56 is almost here, and teasers are rolling out for this year's high-priced commercials. From ads full of celebrities to those full of heart. Take a look at the other stars of the game. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
Oh, Blaze.
The big game is bringing high anticipation for game day ads.
I'll start off with the Anheuser-Busch beverages. So they've got 6 ads of spanning 4 minutes of Super Bowl time. And so the one that I think is going to catch everybody and really enjoy it is there's a 60-second ad from Michelob that's got Steve Buscemi in it. It's got Peyton Manning in it. Budweiser teased that the Clydesdale and the Golden Retriever are going to be back. So might get a nice heartwarming ad there. Outside of the beer brands, you've got Lay's, which has Paul Rudd and Seth Rogen in a teaser.
Among other celebrities joining are Hannah Waddingham.
Rakuten is in the game for the first time ever. They're looking to make a really big splash.
I've got a commercial.
Plus Idris Elba for Booking.com.
He gets some advice in the teaser from 2 of the greatest pitchmen in advertising history, the most interesting man in the world, and the Old Spice I'm on a Horse guy, Asaya Mustafa.
How quickly did ad space sell out, and how much are they going for compared to last year?
Yeah, so this is interesting because they were mostly sold out by summer, which is a record. Over $6 million for an ad this year. It's never been above 6 before. It's a huge leap in terms of cost, and NBC is actually roping in making advertisers advertise in the Winter Olympics as well as the Super Bowl to get into this game.
And themes this year, feel good and funny.
Almost every single teaser and full ad we've seen has been straight up comedy. We know like Budweiser's almost going to certainly pull on the heartstrings, and there might be a few others that do.
We're teasing commercials now?
In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. I love those commercials. I'm going to leave you with video of Wildcat Glaze in Joplin after all this snow we got. Have a great, safe weekend. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.